My beloved child, don't scroll, because the moment you found this message may be more meaningful than you realize. Something has shifted behind the scenes, and the person you call your soulmate may have finally admitted something about you that they once promised themselves they would never reveal. They tried to keep this thought hidden, pushed it away, and convinced themselves that silence was easier. But today, something changed. Stay till the end, because the confession is not what you expect. They did not simply admit that they miss you. They admitted that you affected their life in a way they could no longer ignore. There was a moment when they realized that no matter how busy they became, no matter how much they tried to move forward, your presence remained unforgettable. Something huge is waiting for you, and the deeper truth is about to unfold. They remembered a conversation, a look, a small moment that seemed ordinary at the time but became extraordinary in their memory. And suddenly, they understood something: you were never just another person passing through their life. You left an emotional mark they could not erase. Here is where the story becomes even more surprising. Your soulmate may have told someone close to them that there is one thing about you they secretly admire, but they were afraid to say it directly to you. They may have described your strength, your patience, your ability to keep going even when nobody understood what you were carrying inside. Don't skip, because this is where their confession begins to make sense. They realized that what attracted them to you was not something temporary or superficial. It was the way you made them feel understood without demanding an explanation. They remembered how you could sense when something was wrong, even when they said everything was fine. That realization unsettled them because it meant you had reached a part of their heart they had carefully protected. Stay till the end, because there is still one truth they have been struggling to accept. And now comes the part they never expected to confess: they are beginning to understand that losing your presence would mean losing something they cannot easily replace. They may have tried to act calm, distant, or completely unaffected, but inside, they were asking themselves why your absence felt so noticeable. Something huge is waiting for you, and the next revelation is even deeper. They are realizing that the connection they once questioned may have been teaching them something about themselves all along. Don't scroll. Stay till the end. Because what they finally understood about you could completely change the way they approach this connection from this moment forward. There is one sentence they have been carrying quietly, and today, it feels impossible for them to keep it hidden anymore. They finally realized that you were not difficult to forget, you were difficult to replace in their thoughts. Stay till the end, because this confession goes deeper than a simple admission of missing someone. They remembered the moments when you showed patience, the times you understood more than they explained, and the moments when your silence somehow said more than words ever could. Don't skip, because they began comparing every new experience with the feeling they associated with you, and that realization forced them to face something they had avoided for a long time. They discovered that what they valued most about you was not one dramatic moment, but hundreds of small details they had never properly appreciated. Something huge is waiting for you, because the truth they are finally accepting is changing how they see the entire connection. But then came the moment that completely caught them off guard. Someone asked them a simple question about you, and instead of giving a casual answer, they became unusually quiet. They realized they had far more to say than they were prepared to admit. They wanted to explain why your name still carried so much meaning, why certain memories immediately reminded them of you, and why they still wondered what might have happened if they had handled certain moments differently. Stay till the end. Don't skip. The confession is becoming clearer. They may have privately admitted that they regret not recognizing your value sooner. Not because everything was perfect, but because they now understand that some people enter your life and leave behind lessons that cannot be ignored. And you became one of those people for them. Now listen carefully, because this is where the emotional turning point begins. They are starting to understand that their biggest mistake was believing they had unlimited time to say what mattered. They thought there would always be another opportunity, another conversation, another moment to explain themselves. But time changed the way they saw everything. Something huge is waiting for you, because the secret they kept protecting is no longer staying hidden inside them. They finally admitted that you mattered more than they ever allowed themselves to say. Don't scroll. Stay till the end. Because when someone finally stops running from the truth they have carried for so long, the next step can change everything. The silence around this connection is about to feel completely different, because there is a truth they can no longer explain away. They once believed they could keep their feelings carefully contained, but something happened that brought every hidden thought back to the surface. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because this is the moment when their private realization becomes impossible to ignore. They started thinking about the qualities in you that they once overlooked. Your patience, your sincerity, your ability to care without constantly asking for recognition. And suddenly, they understood why your presence had stayed in their memory for so long. Something huge is waiting for you, because their confession is not simply about remembering you, it is about finally understanding what your connection meant to them. Then came an unexpected realization. They began wondering whether you ever understood how deeply certain moments affected them. A simple conversation may have stayed in their mind long after it ended. A small act of kindness may have meant far more than you realized. They remembered times when you gave them space instead of forcing answers, and that patience became something they quietly respected. Don't scroll, because they are beginning to recognize that the person they thought they could easily move beyond became someone whose influence remained with them. Stay till the end. They may have told someone that there was something different about you, something they could not put into ordinary words. Not perfection. Not a fantasy. Something much more meaningful, the feeling of being genuinely seen. And now the confession reaches its most emotional point. They are finally admitting that they were afraid of how much this connection mattered. Sometimes people step back not because they feel nothing, but because they do not know what to do with feelings they cannot easily explain. That may be the truth they have been hiding. Something huge is waiting for you, and they are beginning to understand that avoiding the conversation never erased what they felt. Don't skip. Stay till the end. The person you care about may now be looking at the past differently, recognizing moments they once dismissed and realizing that some truths become louder with time. And the biggest question is no longer whether they remember you. It is whether they are finally ready to be honest about what you mean to them. Something happened that made them see you through completely different eyes, and this time, they could not simply dismiss the feeling. They remembered how you stayed genuine when you had every reason to become distant, how you continued moving forward without needing everyone to understand you, and how your presence carried a quiet strength they once underestimated. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the confession they made was connected to something they had been afraid to admit even to themselves. They finally recognized that they had spent too much time trying to understand the connection logically when their emotions had been telling them something completely different. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization has opened a door they thought they had permanently closed. Then the conversation became more personal. Someone close to them asked what they truly thought about you, and for once, they did not hide behind a simple answer. They admitted that you had become difficult to forget because you made them feel understood in a way they rarely experienced. They remembered how you could notice small changes in their mood, how you could listen without immediately judging, and how even ordinary conversation somehow stayed in their mind. Stay till the end. Don't scroll. The surprising part is that they may have confessed they never fully understood your importance while you were close. It was only after distance gave them time to reflect that they realized how much they had taken for granted. And that realization brought an uncomfortable question: if they had another chance, would they finally say everything they once kept silent? Now listen carefully, because this is the part they never wanted anyone to know. They confessed that there were moments when they almost reached out, almost explained themselves, almost told you exactly what was happening inside their heart, but fear, uncertainty, or pride stopped them. Something huge is waiting for you, because they are beginning to understand that silence can protect you from an uncomfortable conversation, but it cannot erase meaningful feelings. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Their greatest realization may be that the connection was never about one perfect moment. It was built through countless little moments that became impossible to forget. And now, after everything they have learned, they are facing the one truth they can no longer hide: you mattered to them far more than they ever had the courage to say. The next revelation begins with something incredibly small, yet it changed the way they looked at everything. They suddenly remembered one particular moment involving you that they had never completely forgotten. Maybe it was a conversation, a simple gesture, or even a moment when neither of you said much at all. Whatever it was, it returned to their mind with surprising clarity. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because they began realizing that the moments they once considered ordinary had become some of the most meaningful memories they carried. Something huge is waiting for you. They understood that they had been searching for an explanation for their feelings when perhaps the answer had been visible all along. You made them feel accepted without demanding perfection. You gave them room to be themselves. And now they were finally admitting that this was one of the reasons your presence became so difficult to forget. They had tried to convince themselves that time would make everything disappear, but instead, time made the truth clearer. Then came an even more unexpected confession. They admitted that sometimes they wondered whether you knew just how much your presence had affected them. They remembered your words, your reactions, your patience, and even the moments when you walked away without demanding an explanation. Those memories became a mirror, forcing them to look honestly at their own choices. Stay till the end. Don't scroll. They began asking themselves whether they had misunderstood your silence, whether they had overlooked signs of genuine care, and whether they had waited too long to speak honestly. Something huge is waiting for you because their realization is no longer about the past alone. It is becoming about what they do next. They may have finally accepted that pretending not to care was easier than admitting they cared deeply. But the longer they avoided the truth, the stronger that truth became. And now they can no longer hide behind excuses. Here is the part that makes this confession so powerful. They are beginning to understand that what they truly missed was not simply having you around. They missed the feeling of being understood, the comfort of knowing someone genuinely noticed them, and the strange sense of familiarity they associated with you. Don't skip. Stay till the end. They finally admitted that your absence taught them something your presence never had to explain. You had become important to them. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization is pushing them toward honesty. They may still have questions, fears, and uncertainty, but one thing has become clear: they can no longer pretend that you meant nothing. And when someone finally accepts a truth they spent so long avoiding, the next conversation can become the most important one of all. The moment they finally admitted the truth, something inside them became strangely quiet, as if they had stopped fighting a realization that had been waiting for them all along. They confessed that one of the hardest things about this connection was how naturally you became part of their thoughts without asking for attention. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because they are beginning to understand that some people leave an impression without making grand promises or dramatic declarations. They remembered how your presence could change the atmosphere of an ordinary moment, how your words sometimes stayed with them long after the conversation ended, and how they could still remember the feeling of being understood. Something huge is waiting for you because they are no longer asking themselves whether you mattered. They are asking why they waited so long to acknowledge it. The answer may be connected to fear, uncertainty, and the belief that staying silent would make everything simpler. But silence did not erase the connection. It only gave their thoughts more time to grow. Then they revealed something even more personal. They admitted that there were times when they wanted to tell you everything, but they stopped because they were afraid your response might change the relationship forever. They wondered whether you would understand their hesitation or interpret it differently. Stay till the end. Don't scroll. They carried those unsaid words quietly, sometimes convincing themselves they had moved forward, only to discover that certain memories still brought the same questions back. They began realizing that the strongest feelings were not always the loudest ones. Sometimes they appeared as a thought that returned unexpectedly, a memory that refused to disappear, or a question that remained unanswered. Something huge is waiting for you because their confession is finally moving beyond simple nostalgia. They are recognizing that honesty might be uncomfortable, but uncertainty can be even harder to carry. And now comes the realization they never expected to make. They admitted that they do not want to remember you only as someone from their past. They want to understand what this connection could mean from this point forward. Don't skip. Stay till the end. They may not know exactly what the future holds, but they are beginning to believe that some conversations deserve to happen instead of being imagined endlessly. Something huge is waiting for you, because the truth they once tried to bury is becoming the very thing pushing them toward clarity. They finally understand that if they keep hiding behind silence, they may never discover what could have happened if they had simply been honest. And that is why this confession matters so much. For the first time, they are not running from the truth, they are preparing to face it.